Apparently, my last post ruffled some feathers, but I really don't care. Landlords are literally sharks. They are eating people alive just because they can. They are raising rent just because they can. I personally think there needs to be a law to where, like, say this landlord owns this house outright. I think there needs to be a law that they're only allowed to charge like an X amount of the home's value, not 15, 16, 17, $1,800 a month just because it's in a nice neighborhood and everybody else around is charging the same. And don't get me started on rental agencies that are hiking up the price because they get a cut of it. And then you have investors that are buying houses.
Hold on. This is some Zoran Mamdani-ish right here. So she doesn't think that landlords should be able to charge whatever it is that they want for their property that they own, not her, right? There should be a law that says you should only be able to charge a certain percentage. Well, actually, typically landlords charge about 1%. 1% of the value of the property is what is charged, typically. Now, that obviously isn't standard across the board. There's, there's obviously variables that go into that, or different things that weigh on that. Sometimes it's a touch more, sometimes it's less, right? But yeah, that's just absolutely crazy. Yeah, I don't own the property, but I think there should be a law. But then also, once again, these white liberal women, I've been talking about this whole day today. White liberal women will be the downfall of America if we let them. Goodness gracious, and here we are again. I think there should be a law against landlords charging a certain amount. Okay, well then landlords are going to stop renting out their properties to you. Now what? People are going to stop buying rundown properties, fixing them up, making them nice and available to rent. People are going to stop doing that, or just building all new properties, right? People are going to stop doing that because they realize, well, the profit margins aren't there. It's not going to be worth my time. If something goes wrong, I don't have the profits to cover it. I might get lucky if I do. So I'm just going to stop building. I'm not going to make any more apartment complexes, or I'm not going to buy any more rundown properties that aren't livable currently and fixing them up and renting them out, providing more homes and places for people to stay in. I'm just going to stop doing it. So now what happens to the rest of the properties that are out there for rent? I mean, it's simple. Supply and demand. If the supply drops because you decentivized landlords to make more properties available, the supply tanks, well, the prices are going to go up because now there's a shorter list of properties available that everybody is going for. So this I think there should be a law. It ain't going to work, Susie. Not happening. What don't these people understand, bro? And beyond that, forget all that. It's not yours. It's not yours. You can't tell me what I charge for my services. If you don't want my services, keep it pushing. Mike and Ike. All right? Get to stepping. Whatever you want to call it. Keep on walking. I should be able to live in a nice neighborhood because what? It costs to be the boss, okay? She one of these folks that got champagne taste and she only got beer money. Boy, I tell you, man, these people. Carry on.
Rental agencies that are hiking up the price because they get a cut of it. And then you have investors that are buying houses or foreclosures for pennies on the dollar and doing basic upgrades and then turning around and selling it or not selling it, renting it for $1,500 to $2,000 a month. In what world does that make sense? Mind you,
this world, it makes sense. Because if people weren't renting, they wouldn't be able to charge the price. It's very, very simple. If people aren't renting at that price, guess what? they've got to lower the price. So if it's $1,500 or $2,000, that means people are willing to pay $1,500 or $2,000. And if you got a problem with it, well, go rent from somebody else. Or better yet, you could do what they did and you could buy your own. Thank you. Well, thank you for tuning into my TED Talk.
These landlords and investors are living in brand new homes because they know that they can raise rent to a completely unaffordable amount, so the renters can so the renters can fund their luxury in their brand new homes.
Gracious.
There needs to be affordable housing because, especially for single income families, how is that affordable for anybody? They're stuck having to rent in a shitty ass neighborhood just because it's affordable.
So now I have to subsidize your life because you made bad decisions? How does that even make sense? No, how does that make sense? She said a single income family, meaning, more than likely, it's just a mom and her kids. Because she said family. Single income. Why is it single income? Why is it single? Why is it a family if you couldn't afford it? So now I'm supposed to lower my number because of your life decisions. Y'all remember when she said, how does that even make sense? No, how does that make sense? I have to make up for your bad choices? Bro, come on, man. This can't be real. She gotta be trolling. She has to be trolling right now.
They should be able to rent in a nice neighborhood for their children.
No.
But rent...
It costs to be the boss. You got champagne taste, but you only got beer money. If you want to live in a nice part of town, a nice area of town, or the nice neighborhood in town, you got to pay the price. It's nice because it costs. For the most part. That's not always the case, because there are some lower income areas that are nice as well. But for the most part, where people are paying a lot of money, it's typically nice because people appreciate it more. They make sure it's well taken care of. There's not a whole lot of riffraff, okay? Because sometimes you can price the riffraff out. Just saying. Just saying. Money is quiet. That's just keeping it a buck. You know, money is quiet. Whenever you go into a rich neighborhood, a well-off neighborhood where you see homes that, you know, are $750,000 up, what do you hear? Do you hear gunshots? Do you hear a bunch of yelling and screaming? Well, besides California, because those prices are just absolutely ridiculous. A one-bedroom home in California is like $1 million. It's stupid. But you get what I mean. In a standard city, right, in the United States of America that isn't California or New York, right, one of these crazy expensive liberal places, you go to a neighborhood where the homes are $750,000, $800,000 and up. It's quiet. It's silent. There's a reason. Just saying. A lot of people pay for homes just for that, right? They just want to be away from the riffraff. They just want peace and quiet. So you think they want you moving into the neighborhood because somebody decided to lower the prices just so you can move in? It's a home that you can't really afford, but they just lowered the prices so that you could. Nah, bro. That ain't the way this world works. Cost to be the boss.
Landlords and investors make it almost impossible. There's not affordable housing. They're like, oh, I bought this house for, say, $90K several years ago and it's paid off. But just because it's in a nice neighborhood, I'm going to rent it for $1,500 plus. Even though my mortgage was $400 and something dollars, but I no longer have a mortgage anymore. Make that fucking make sense. Why is there not a law in place where landlords, investors, flippers, whatever you are, have to abide by a certain rule and only charge like X amount of what the home's value is.
Because people would stop doing it and it would drive up the price even higher. Duh. It's common sense. And second, you don't own it. If you wanted to pay that $400 a month for the home that you bought, then buy one yourself. How about that?
Yet, they don't have any rules. They're allowed to just hike it up whenever they want because, they want other people to fund their luxury. Meanwhile, renters have to continue renting because how the fuck are they able to save to become a homeowner? They're not. They can't because rent eats people alive. I cannot stress this enough. There needs to be a law put in place because renting is just becoming not affordable anymore.
Well, live on the street then. Or you could go back to the father of your children since you live in a single income home. Just saying. I'm just saying. Simple problem with a simple solution. Go back to your baby daddy. Go back to him. You can call on Tyrone. I'm just saying, it's simple problem, simple solution, bro. Bro, these entitled people, man, is just absolutely ridiculous. There should be a law that stops them from, and then they would stop doing it. Like, what are you talking about? Plus, most of the people that own rental properties aren't big mega corporations. They aren't like these big conglomerates that just buy up entire neighborhoods. They're regular people like you and I who bought a home, moved out of that first home, kept it, and rented it out after they moved to a second home. Or they're individuals who have lived in their home for long enough to have paid it off, bought another rundown property, fixed it up themselves, put some sweat equity into it, and now are then renting that out to recoup their money and generate some income monthly. So, like, when you talk about, they shouldn't be able to charge. Well, people like that are definitely going to stop doing it because there's no money in it. They got to make money. You have to incentivize people. If you want more housing, you need to deregulate things. Make it a little bit easier. I'm not saying just make it so easy that anybody could just build a house. You know what I mean? Because, houses are already pieces of crap these days. I wouldn't purchase a newly built home at all at this point. I feel like a lot of people, especially contractors, are just rushed. They're just trying to rush through, right? There's no craftsmanship in building homes anymore. So that's also a problem. But are there some landlords who try to gouge people out there? Of course. Are there some slumlords who, are just terrible individuals? Of course. But there's a lot of people who are just trying to make a couple of dollars and charging a fair rate on the rent and aren't big mega corporations. They're just regular people who just happen to own another property. And if you have a problem, she kept saying that, well, how were people ever going to buy a home? Well, clearly that landlord managed to do it. They managed to buy a toilet and a ruler and get their shit straight. Why can't you? Why can't you? Instead of, and this has always been my thing. Instead of trying to bash somebody who, is perceived to be doing better than me in life, I'm going to go up to that person. I'm going to ask them how they managed to do it. How did you manage to do this? How did you manage to do that? How are you making this type of income? How are you able to live there? How are you able to afford that type of vehicle? How are you able to do that? Can you show me what it is that you did and how you did it? Can you show me? Oh, thank you. Great. Instead of trying to take a dump on people, ask them how they did it. And they'd probably tell you. Oh, this is how you did it. You leveraged this to create income here, and that's, oh, okay. Oh, you went through this program to get a house because through this program, first time. Oh, got it. Got it. You bought a fourplex on this program. You just lived in one of them and rented the other three out. Got it. See, now I'm gonna repeat that. You see what I'm saying? Like, they'll tell you stuff. Bro. I feel like people make life a lot more complicated than what it actually is. I'm just saying. I feel like a lot of life and figuring out life is just common sense. It's just common sense. Unfortunately, common sense is no longer common, clearly, because you have this chick saying, we need to stop people from charging. Yeah, and then people are going to stop doing it. So now what? You stopped them from charging a certain amount. A bunch of people dropped off the map. So now the supply has absolutely tanked. And all of you are fighting for this amount of homes. What do you think that's going to do to the price? Y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already. What are you waiting on? All right? And make sure you hit the like button. Stay safe. Peace.